first time I ever do this presentation. And I've actually been fighting a lot for getting this presentation in, because I feel that this is one of the most important things that I see for my Olim in Jerusalem. How I learned about networking in Israel and why I think it's so important. And I also want to give you some practical tips. And also give you some foundations of what networking is really about. So, first of all, I made Aliyah 11 years ago from Copenhagen, Denmark. I heard we have a Swedish person here. Yeah, here we go. Exactly. In Europe, we don't, it's very formal. There's formal channels. You send your CV there. You don't, it's just kind of awkward to go up to someone and say, hey, I'm a newly immigrant to Denmark. I'm a mechanical engineer. Can we go out for coffee? It's like, no, we cannot go out for coffee. It's an awkward thing, but the thing is, I'm going to tell you why it's different in Israel. And the thing is, that's how things work in Israel. And this is why. So, a recent survey mentioned that 65% of all jobs are found through networking. It's through networking, it's through word of mouth, it's through people knowing people. And you might think now that as an Ole, you kind of like game over in that sense, right? Because everything's about networking in Israel, and you probably didn't do the army, you didn't do in high school in Israel, you don't have too many friends and families. So it would appear that you kind of like on the outset are kind of like have a very difficult situation. So I'm here to tell you that the opposite is truth. The opposite is correct. And I'll tell you why. Israel is a country of immigrants. You have a window of opportunity. As an Ole, you have an amazing window of opportunity for the 1 or 2 years that I don't have that anymore. After 11 years, I can't play what I call the Ole card, right? I just can't play it anymore. And the Ole card is the card that is, I'm an Ole Chadai, been here, just came 1 or 2 years. I know how things work in Israel. Do you have 15 minutes for a cup of coffee to give me some advice? Don't ask for people and say, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? That's just not, it's just too much of a commitment. People would love to do it for you. And Israelis are really, really willing to help Olim. It's like, you have no idea how much Israelis have been, and those who don't want to help you, they're not worth it anyway. They're really not people you want to meet. Most people in Israel are willing to help you, and this is why. 9 out of 10 are either immigrants, basically, or their parents are immigrants, or their great-parents are immigrants. It's not such an awkward thing. Networking in Israel is easy because it's a way of life. Israelis themselves do it. It's not like, it's not just because you're an Ole. Because you're an Ole, you have like an easier in to it, right? It's more legitimate to be there. And you have that 1 or 2 years that you don't have to give anything back. You can kind of like meet some engineer or I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm a sales marketing person. I would like to understand how it works here in Israel. Can you meet for 15 minutes for coffee, and can you give me some advice? That's just an easy thing, and you don't have to give anything back. I think in Israelis, between themselves, it's more like give and take, right? You kind of like, networking is completely legitimate. To approach someone Israeli is really legitimate. You have like 1 or 2 years where you don't have to give anything in that sense, because you are the takers. You are the Olim, and believe me, Sabres, Israelis love helping Olim. Isn't that right, Dana?
Everything's right.
Everybody knows how long is a coffee meeting? Like 15 minutes? Half an hour? So the whole thing is that nobody knows, right? Coffee meeting is like, it's open. And that's why it's less of a commitment. And you go around in coffee places in Israel, everybody says all these individual, that's where networking is happening individually, one-to-one, coffee meetings. It's such a low commitment for someone to meet. That's why we do it. That's why I really encourage all my Olim. And I usually also set them up for coffee meetings with Israeli professionals. Because it's something that's, it's not less commitment. You can come by some person's office for 15 minutes for coffee and get some advice, okay? Just please, if something you remember for this talk is like, when you approach someone, ask them for an advice, okay? It's something that everybody can give an advice, right? Everybody loves to be experts also. Like, I love when people come to me, it's like, can I give you advice? Sure. It's like, it's not as if I know a lot of things, but this is how you get that meeting, and then this is just my opinion, okay? If you're not met with 5 people from your industry, if you're a mechanical engineer, if you're sales, if you are whatever you are, NGO manager, if you're not met with 5 people from your industry, you haven't even been looking for a job in Israel. Okay? The last thing we want you to do after Gvahim is to just go back home and sit down and send CVs out. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not, you shouldn't do it. You should send CVs, but not only that. Try and get as many meetings as you can with people from your industry. This is really something that opens up, but prepare yourself. What I mean with this is something that I myself spent a lot of time doing. When I came to Jerusalem, I had to start up Gvahim in Jerusalem. There's some industries I just don't know so much about. Good example is the biotechnology industry. So what I did was I kind of like looked out who is the most, in Jerusalem, who is the guy who knows most about what's happening in the biotech sector. So I kind of like scheduled a meeting when I hit someone called Shai Melsha from the Bio Jerusalem forum, right? So obviously if he's running the Bio Jerusalem forum, then obviously he must be very connected and knows a lot of people in that field. So I met him for coffee. I would sit with him and he would kind of like map out 3 or 4 or 5 companies that definitely had to meet. He would help me with some introductions. And every time I had him live on that field, I would kind of like use him as a go-getter, try and connect him to the right people. That's what I call about the key influencers from every field. And you have to find out in your industry, sometimes it can be someone who's the head of a LinkedIn group. If there's a LinkedIn group for your sector or your industry, usually that's someone who's very connected. It can also be all kinds of other things. You have to kind of like ask around. I did this with all sectors. Okay, the NGO sector, the tech sector, the internet marketing sector. Every sector, I kind of like find who are these people, who's like the connected people who can help me help my Olim in many ways. And that's how it slowly worked. Identify the meetup groups for your sector. So I'll give you some examples. In Jerusalem, we have, for entrepreneurs, we have something called a Made in JLM. So they have meetups all the time, every month. You have meetups for people in the biotech sector. First of all, put in the names. Let's say you get some names from a person. Of course, keep track on what company, how did you get to them, what the last contact date. And then, of course, for each person you meet, ask him for 1 or 2 or 3 more people you should meet. Then add them to the columns here. And just add 10 new names to your list every week. Okay? It's not so difficult. I know it's a lot of work. And the people who do this, they just have a higher increase of getting a job and getting a career, getting the next job also. Because you have to think about in Gvahim, it's not about just getting the first job. I mean, that is our goal to get you the first quality job. But you have to think of beyond this. Like in 1 year, 2 years, things change. If the project gets closed down, something happens. You have to continuously be in this mode of creating a network. Yeah, that's basically it. So if you have any questions, you're welcome.